Hello everyone and welcome to tonight's live stream. It is so exciting to have everyone here, especially as this is one of our last live streams for the year. We're wrapping up because we're getting so close to Christmas. We are really excited today because we've actually got Sarah here, who is actually one of our recent graduates. So she has just finished with AIE, so we're going to be talking about her final major project. that she completed at the end of her time here at AIE. So she's been working on that really hard for the past few months. So it'll be awesome to actually see the project and hear all about what actually went on to create it. So just a reminder, everyone, if you put your questions in the chat, we'll be able to answer them live. So make sure you do that. We love seeing everyone's comments, and we love getting all of the questions from you guys so that we're able to help you out if you've got any questions. Maybe you're looking at studying with AIE, so add them in and we'll be able to answer them live. But I might let Steph take it away and let Sarah introduce herself. So take it away, Steph.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Emma. So thanks so much for joining us, Sarah, and congratulations on finishing. So exciting, 2 years down. How does it feel?
Yeah, thank you so much. It feels awesome. Yeah, the course has been really great at AIE, and it feels so good to finally have this film finished, and it's come out pretty great, I think.
Yeah, no, it has, and we will see it a bit later. But first of all, I just want to start by asking some questions about yourself. So first and foremost, what actually led you to a career in animation and visual effects?
Well, I've always loved film. I've always been like a really big fan of animation in particular, like Disney films and that sort of stuff. Always loved it, and yeah, kind of always knew I wanted to go into it.
Yeah, cool. And did you have any sort of knowledge about, animation or anything of that kind of area before coming to AIE?
Yeah, I was really big. I've always been an artist. I do a lot of digital art in my spare time. For my major work, my high school major work, I'd done an animated film that was 2D animated. But yeah, then I discovered AIE, and I wanted to really kind of like check out the 3D scene, and yeah, that's how I'm here now.
Definitely, and here we are. So, what's next for you after completing the course? So, obviously, you completed the Advanced Diploma of Screen and Media as part of AIE's 3D Animation and Visual Effects for Film course. So, what now?
What now? Well, at the moment, I'm working for a studio. I'm working at Plastic Wax, but after that, I'm hoping to further advance my career in 3D animation. For our film, I worked on the 3D modeling and the storyboarding aspects, so I'd really like to further pursue those skills in the industry. Yeah, and personal projects, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. Plastic Wax is a really cool studio, so congrats! How exciting! So
Thank you so much.
We are about to play Killing Time, which is obviously your team's major project. So yeah, I guess are you please able to introduce your project and also your team members that worked on it with you?
Yeah, so Killing Time is a project about a couple of two robots who get really bored and watch a Western film one day and are suddenly inspired to have their own Mexican showdown to kill some time. The team, I worked on it as the production lead, storyboard artist, and 3D modeler. Jasper Garsky is our environment artist and our effects guy. Josh Baxendale was our modeling and texturing, one of our modeling and texturing artists. Riley also modeling and texturing, and also comp. He did a fantastic job on the comp. And
Yes.
Connor also worked on our team. He did the eyes and the ending credits. And I think that's everyone.
Awesome. Well, we'll get Emma to play it and everyone can have a look.
All right, yellow leg. This is it. You and me. Move out, Billy.
project. Love that. So yeah, that was what you developed as part of your second year major project, and we're going to be talking about that in a little bit more detail now. So I guess my first question would be, can you please take us through, I guess, the process of creating a film like this in a little bit more detail for maybe someone who has no idea about the process?
Yeah, sure, I'd love to. So basically how the film started was us all discussing ideas as a group and just like throwing out random concepts. We eventually landed on robot cowboys who get bored and want to have a showdown because robots are cool and so are cowboys, so why not
Yes,
combine
they
those
are.
two things. After that came the concept art and just concepting stage. So that included working on the concept art and storyboarding, which is what I worked on. And after we had our storyboard approved, there was previs, so that's moving more so onto like 3D, onto the 3D side of things. So blockouts and pre-visualization storyboards. I mean, sorry, not storyboards, animatics. So actually blocking out scenes from the film using blockout models and like blockout environments and scenery, just to get like a better idea on what shots we want. And from there, we just keep building and expanding. Models get made, models get textured, animation blockout phase starts coming along, and then towards the end, we start introducing more FX sort of things. Like, for example, our ponchos, we had to wait for all the animation to be done in order to start including the ponchos in the work. So after our animation, we finished all of it. We handed the scenes and the shots over to Jasper, and he put the ponchos on them. And then after we have our effects and everything's finalized, we take it into comp, make it look all nice and clean, put on whatever color grades we need, and then sound, yeah. And then we take it into Vinci, and then we finish it off. So yeah, that's pretty much the process.
Sounds like quite a quick process, but it didn't actually take you, well, it wasn't that quick in the end. So how long did it actually take you from first concept to final product?
Man, I think we started in July, or yeah, so quite a few months. Pre-production went on for like about a month or so, maybe more. Yeah, so that was just when I was working on the robot designs, I remember struggling a lot with that, and like one of the reasons it took so long was because it kept going back into getting tweaked the design, because you know, one of the challenges I discovered when designing the robot was that you got to think about a lot of things. So where places will bend and like what can go where. Because we encountered like a lot of issues with clipping when we took it into like the modeling stage. So you really have to be careful where you're putting that shell. Can't make sure, because it's not an organic creature, it doesn't bend or squish. So yeah, there was just a lot to think about, and whilst it was challenging, it was a really good learning experience for me, actually. So yeah,
Yeah, cool. And how many ideas did it actually take before landing on the concept of killing time?
I think we had like 2 other ideas. There was not that
Okay.
many. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So not too many. And how would you say your overall experience was while making this film major project?
Well, it's kind of interesting because we weren't. Well, it was really great. But what happened earlier this year with the pandemic was kind of an interesting challenge in itself. I was expecting it to be a lot harder to communicate with people because we were at home and isolated, but it turned out to be pretty easy. I got along really well with my team. I'm really lucky that I had a great team the entire time that was very cooperative, and we were all we all worked really hard to try and pump out this film, and I think our efforts show.
Yeah,
um,
definitely.
but yeah, um, yeah, it
And
was a
what
really great experience.
awesome. Yeah, and we're talking about challenges and COVID presenting a lot of different challenges. What would you say would be your group's biggest challenge throughout the whole experience?
Yeah, so it's funny. We were originally, so our backgrounds, our environments throughout the entire film, they're actually we actually took HDRIs online of like real places, and then we baked on the textures. We projected the textures from the HDRI onto geometry and Maya, and then we baked it down. So we didn't have to. None of the environments itself are actually textured by us. They're actually from like real life images, which made it really efficient and easy for us to make an environment. But the challenge we had was that we originally were going to go out and film our own HDRIs. We wanted to go out to Cockatoo Island and take photos of the scenery there because we thought it would be perfect environment for our film. But alas, the lockdown happened and we couldn't do that, so we had to improvise with HDRIs online, and just as well we found a couple of environments that were really perfect for our film.
And what
So
does
yeah.
HDRI actually stand for people that maybe don't know what that means and haven't worked in the area before?
Okay, so a HDRI, it's basically this like really big, I think it's called, do you know what like panoramas are? They're like these very long, stretched out images of like an environment. It's basically a 360. Sorry, I should have just said that. Yeah, it's a 360.
Yeah.
And we basically just like got a camera and then we projected all of the like the objects, I guess, like the walls and stuff. We projected it onto these geometry that we had blocked out, and then we just baked it down. So I mean, I could show you our I think there's an image here that I've put in the concept art here, the work in progress images here that shows our HDRI process with the projection. Yeah,
Okay.
it's
Yeah,
a
no,
bit hard to describe, but it's really cool.
that's okay. No, you did a good job at explaining, definitely, for someone like myself that has no idea about what that meant. So, great. And what kind of programs did you use for killing time?
Killing Time had like several programs. So I used Photoshop for the storyboarding and concept art, Maya for all the 3D, and the animation as well. We had Mari is what I made the robots textures in, but we also used Painter for most of the assets, like the props and stuff, background assets that weren't in part of the projection. And we used Houdini for the Poncho Sims, and DaVinci for the video editing, Nuke for comp, and yeah, I think that's all. Quite the list.
Yeah, quite a lot of programs. That's awesome. And what is something, I guess, valuable that you learned from your experience? Something that you look back and you're like, oh, that was a good lesson to learn.
Like I said, designing the robot was really eye-opening to me.
Yeah.
I learned a lot about pipeline.
Okay.
We used ShotGrid for our movie to keep things organized and updated, dailies and that sort of stuff. But yeah, pipeline was really helpful. Oh, Mari, actually. I'd used Mari, I think, once before texturing the robot, and I didn't really know how to use it. And it took a lot of trial and error trying to texture the robots. But I learned a lot from that experience, and I'm really glad I did because Mari is a super duper powerful program, and I recommend it to anyone to use for texturing.
Yeah, cool. Was there a question, Emma? Oops, sorry, your sound's just off.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, we had one that came in, and I thought that question would be really a great one to add on to the question you had there. We had a question from Elise saying, what skills do you feel you gained from the film course that you may have not learned if you'd chosen to major in the games as well? Is there
Ooh,
any?
good
Yeah, I was like,
question.
it's a great question. Is there any
Yeah.
skills that you were like, oh, I feel like this has been really, really helpful? Obviously, you love films, and that's why you've chosen to go down that road. But is there any that you were like, yes, like these are some really awesome skills? Because a lot of the software is quite different between the two of them when you actually really start to specialize.
Yeah, absolutely. Like Mari, for example, I'm not too sure if they use Mari in game, but I know it's used in the film a lot. Houdini, that's something we use in film that I'm pretty sure they don't have in game. Pipeline, I'm assuming, is much different as well, and how you interact with people in that industry. Um, what else? I guess there's a lot of differences, but there's also a lot of similarities.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's a great question, actually.
Awesome. Well, you had a great
Yeah,
answer. So that's all good. I might pop back in because we've got quite a bit of chat a bit later, but I'll let you guys go back to it. So I'll be back.
great. Awesome. Cool. Well, since we're talking about the things that you learned and whatnot, is there anything that you would do differently if you had the experience over again?
Yes. Well, robot would come along a lot faster. Actually, another challenge we faced with the robot was rigging, because in our film, you can see that our robot is made up of a lot of hydraulic pipe systems and that sort of stuff. So we had to think a lot about how they would move as the robot like twists and move its neck and its waist. So there's a lot of aim constraints, and that took like a really long time to figure out because you just have to like think of how everything's going to interact with each other. So I bet if we were doing it again, that would come along a lot faster. Um, what else was there? Oh, the environment projection. Like I said, is really great and powerful, but figuring that out at first was kind of tricky as well. There's a lot of buttons pressing to it, but
Yeah.
yeah, we got through that in the end through trial and error. Oh, and I would like to be able to get my own HDRI. Now,
Go to Cockatoo Island.
yes, that would be fabulous, actually. Yeah, if I was
Definitely.
given that chance.
Yeah, and what was a memorable experience or memorable moment, I should say, from the experience? What's something that you can look back on and be like, oh, nice.
Um, Actually seeing the finished film altogether, that was really great. It was just like, because towards the end, like during crunch time, you start getting like really worried and nervous and panicky, and you're like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
what if the film's not going to turn out right? But like seeing the film come together was really great. Just like um, the day where we showed it off to everyone, we had our poster up on the wall. It just like was such a humbling experience. It's like, wow, after all these months, it's finally done.
I think we have
Yeah.
the poster actually hung up in our office around here. It looks
Oh
awesome.
yeah,
Definitely.
I forgot to pick it up.
Come by anytime, you know where we are.
Sounds
And what did you, obviously you had to work in a team of a lot of different personalities and people. So what would you say is something that you learned about working in teams during the project?
um, make sure you check up on your teammates. If they're not doing anything, make sure they're doing something. Don't be afraid to reach out and talk to people. I mean, my team was like very friendly, and we got along really well. I'm really grateful for that. We had a lot of friendly banter. Don't be afraid to talk to your teammates. Get to know them a little bit. You're working on a film, so you might as well while you're there. And don't be afraid to ask for help from your teammates as well. I learned a lot from my teammates. Like, I did not know anything really about projection before going into this film, so I learned a lot about that and the rigging process. I learned a lot from the other modeling and texturing artists on the team as well. Um, so yeah, talk to your teammates.
Definitely. And staying in that same kind of area about team and teammates and whatnot. So, what kind of qualities do you value the most in team members?
Um, Obviously people who work hard and like what do I value? Yeah, people who listen, people who aren't afraid to ask questions as well. Just people who are good, fun to be around, and communication. I mean, that's like the most valuable thing, I think, is being able to communicate with someone on your team and being able to talk about something if we have a disagreement. It's really great to be able to be comfortable to talk that sort of stuff out. So yeah, just good communicative skills is great.
Yeah, and how did the teams get chosen for you? Did you get to choose your own teams? How did that actually work?
We got put into our teams.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
cool. Well, that's most of the questions that I have, but Emma was saying that the chat's gone a bit wild. So do we have any questions from the chat? Oops, sorry, your earphones.
Every time it's meant to toggle on and off, and it never does. We've had a bunch of questions. A lot of people just saying congratulations on finishing. Someone said, I think that HDMI is high dynamic range image. So there we go.
Thank you. I actually didn't know.
Yeah. They're another 3D animation and VFX graduate, I'm pretty sure too. So we've got one here that says, what it was the biggest challenge of the course? Obviously, you have done I feel like your year, you got 2020 and 2021, and you guys are just the most flexible year group I've seen come through, because you're just you've had to adapt to so much stuff that's been put at you. Has it just been COVID that's been one of the biggest challenges, or is the other biggest challenges come from actually the coursework or something like that?
No, you're pretty much right. The pandemic was the biggest issue for us because we have all the software and technology at home, but trying to work with a VPN sometimes was very frustrating because it's a lot slower than being on campus. So, and that and morale as well. Being at home, being able to roll out of bed and then get to work is great and everything until you realize you've just been stuck at home for the past 3 months. So it was a bit disheartening being at home sometimes, but we were all in pretty good company of each other, so we powered through. But yeah, the working from home and how slow the VPN was really annoying because we have pretty chunky scenes, and opening them up was so slow sometimes.
Yeah,
that was the biggest struggle.
I think I remember when here on the Canberra campus, when they was starting to do all of the the final rendering and all of that, and the teacher was at the computer, and he was the only one in the campus, and he was I just need to get the scenes through and all of that. So it was a whole big problem. But I think one of the really great things about your year group is now so many companies are after those skills that you guys have put into practice already. So that's a really great thing. You mentioned you're working at Plastic Wax. Can you talk a little bit about how you got that job and what it's like now working actually in the industry?
Well, I'm just a render wrangler there at the moment, but I basically applied for the job through LinkedIn, and then I had a little interview with the recruiter there, and she was lovely, and they gave me a tour around the place, and I had gotten the job because I had experience of Deadline, which is what that's one of the programs I forgot to mention. Sorry, Deadline is what we use to actually get our renders out. So Deadline's a really fabulous program because basically when you're trying to get your animation out, you have to render each and every single frame, and that can take a really long time if you're doing it from one computer. So the advantage of having Deadline and the render farm was that we could get out shots for our film really quickly, so we could immediately point out what was wrong or what was right and what direction we had to take. So we had stuff to present at dailies, and Plastic Wax was looking for someone who knew how to use the software, and I'd done a lot of render wrangling on our team already. So that's how I landed the job pretty much.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's I'm really enjoying at the moment, like seeing where like all the graduates are going now that they've finished, and I'm
Yeah.
just going to really enjoy continuing seeing where you're all going, and hopefully you'll get to work on some really cool projects at Plastic Wax because they do some awesome stuff out there. So yeah, I think that is all the questions. We've just got a lot of congratulations in the chat. So another congratulations on finishing, and the film is awesome. One of the things like I get often when I talk to parents as well, and we do get quite a lot of parents who watch this, is they don't understand how many hours go into creating a scene. So your project is like I think it's like a minute and a half. How long did it take to actually finalize those scenes for someone who's actually never worked on a film or something like that?
Finalize. I mean the entire film itself took about like 4 months or more than that. I can't count, but yeah, it took a really long time, and just finalizing scenes, like we did run into like a few technical issues, like where we had to clean things up. So I guess finalizing would have taken like a month or so in itself. Just like going in and cleaning stuff up, making sure animation looks good, and like there's no issues, like little like clipping, for example. That's always an issue that comes with like the finalization stage. Textures going missing, it happens sometimes, especially when you're working from home and then you're going to campus, and then like you're trying to hook everything up. Like coming out of lockdown was kind of a bit of a cleaning up process, because a lot of people were working locally because the render drive's so slow. The render drive. So yeah, just like cleaning things up, I'd say took like a month in itself, alongside like doing other things like animating, of course, and like the effects too. So
Yeah.
yeah,
It's awesome to see how much work goes into one scene. I have just been going through all of our graduates who've worked on Shang-Chi, and there was literally like 700 people who worked on that film in the animation VFX area, that all of that sort of stuff. And I was just like, oh, this is a really like great reminder of how much work actually goes into these movies, because they're so long and the animators work on like so many different scenes, and there's just so much that goes into it. So it's really awesome to see. Well, that's all the questions I have. Steph, did you have any final questions?
No, I think everything has been answered perfectly. Thank you so much, Sarah.
Beautiful. Well,
thank you so much for having me.
let's just hop into our website now. So we do have some events coming up, which is really cool. So if you are wanting to get into film and you have been wanting to, to take that next step and actually start your career in it, maybe you've just finished year 12, which congratulations to all of our year 12s. You did it again. Same with our students who worked through such a hard year. But if you are interested in getting into film, we do have an event up next Tuesday. We've got an information evening. Now, this one is if you want to find out about any of the game streams. So if you want to do game design, art for games, or game programming, or if you want to do the 3D animation and VFX for film, you can come along to the information evening, find out a little bit more, and see what some of the software is that we use there. We do have our film careers night as well, which will be run on our campuses. It will be running in Sydney, Canberra and Melbourne, and this is where you can find out more about our new filmmaking course. So if the animation side's not for you, but you still love films and you want to get into actually creating your own films, check out this night because it'll be great. And we do have the same version in Adelaide. We've got our MAP schools, so make sure you check that event as well. That'll be running on the same day. So all of those are happening next Tuesday, so make sure you check those out. And we also, just a reminder, have all of our workshops up here. So all of our live streams are on here, so you can always go back and answer those. So thank you so much everyone for joining us. We love having everyone come along to these live streams and hear so much about what our graduates or our students or whoever we've got on is doing in the industry. So thank you so much for joining in, and we will see you next time. Bye guys.
Bye.